All right, we are back. Courtney, are you ready?
It's about to shift to a music by Courtney Gains, not a film by podcast. Yes.
That's
That's right.
right. Oh, I love it, Dave.
Wouldn't have it any other way, Courtney.
Yeah. Courtney, can we talk a couple questions about your film career if you have
Well,
time?
go. Let's do it. Absolutely.
All
Awesome.
right.
I appreciate all the music talk, but by all means, you're a movie thing. Let's talk movies. Let's talk
Okay.
films.
My first question would have to be of all the incredible characters that you've played,
Oh God.
if you had the opportunity,
Oh God.
which one would you want to play again?
Oh God. No one's ever asked that question. I'm usually, what's your favorite? What would I want to play again?
Yeah.
Oof. I maybe would have to go with this Benny Bliss guy. I know it's not a big movie, and I know you guys haven't seen it yet, but I think when you see it, you'll see why. Because it was just a ton of fun. 90, it was like 90% improv. So it was like you would just come up with these crazy scenarios and do them. And then I got to play rock music, like with like a killer ass band in the movie. So it was like there was a lot of good reasons to have fun. I would say I'd probably play Benny Bliss again. That would probably be.
Okay.
I was
Fair enough.
hoping it was going to spawn off a couple sequels. I really did because I thought it'd be so fun to just keep going with this character with his anti-technology message.
hmm We're definitely going to check this one out because it sounds wonderful.
And I
Yeah.
recommend seeing the trailer too. But the trailer might be better than the movie though. The trailer is awesome.
All right. Fair enough.
uh, Courtney, is there a role that you passed on that maybe looking back now you're like, I should have done that one?
Nah, that's not really ever happened. I've never was really in the position to pass on something so great that it turned out to be great and go, oh, I
Mhm.
should have done that. I think there's certainly projects I didn't get or didn't think that were going to be great that turned out to be great, though. You just never know what's going to hit and what's not.
Yeah.
Or even projects I've been in that I maybe not thought were going to turn out so good that did, or projects I thought were going to be great that then stunk. Like you just never know. And there's no way you can try to hedge your bets as much as you can, but like, my theory is you could just put a monkey as the head of the studios to pick movies, and they do just as well as these guys who make $2 billion a year.
Yeah. Yep. This is so true.
Oh man.
So, Courtney, I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Jeff and I are like huge, and I mean huge Burb fans. We
Okay.
love the Burbs very, very much. And we'll talk a little bit
Nice.
more about that in a little bit. But towards the end of the Burbs,
Yeah.
when Hans is running from the ambulance,
Yes.
and Rumsfeld, played by the wonderful Bruce Dern,
The
gives us
wonderful.
the great line, "Hey, Pinocchio, where do you think you're going?" And he chases after you, but his feet slip out from underneath him,
Yeah.
and he slides into you, knocking you down.
Right.
Was that intentional or was that by accident? It has been driving me crazy
That's an
forever.
easy one. So, well, first off, the line was an improv. Bruce is a master of observation and improv. He watch him work is something else, and I'm a big fan. So that line was a great line. Just came out of his observation, looking at me with the freaking hat and the leader hose. And this was obvious, right?
Right.
Because I was never dressed like that fully any other time you saw me. If you think about
Yeah.
it, right?
Right.
But the that is a stunt. That whole
It
thing you
is.
saw is a stunt. Those are two stunt guys. That's not us.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
fair enough.
So
Well,
that
it
was
fooled
a.
me.
I think I know my part's a stunt. Maybe he did the other part, but that wasn't me that got clobbered. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because every time we've seen it, we always have that talk, and we're like, that's just amazing that they caught that on camera. Like, and
Yeah.
I hope Courtney didn't get hurt. I hope Bruce Dern didn't get
Yeah, you'll
hurt.
have to
It's
slow it
like,
down and see if that's Bruce. I can't remember. I know that was a stunt guy doing it for me. I remember that part.
well,
Well, it's good to know finally. So thank you, Courtney. I appreciate that.
What else? You're a Burbs guy. What else you got? You got to talk Burbs.
yeah. Well, before we get more into the Burbs,
Okay.
and I apologize. I hope we're not getting too obscure with some of your films, but
No,
I
not at
remember.
all. Not at all. I was just like, you have a list. You're ready. You're very prepared. No, I went back to this one.
I got to ask you because this is one I've always like. I was like, if I ever get to talk to this guy, I'd love to ask him this question. You did a film called Hard Bodies,
Yeah.
and at the end, you're in this really animated moment, and they're like, what is he doing? And they're like, he is flipping you off in 40 different languages. Like, was that is there any truth to that? Was that just you pantomiming, or is like, or can Courtney Gains really flip us off in 40 different languages?
No, so what happened was, so the director was a guy named Mark Griffiths, and I used to take a class with him and the guy who casted Gino Havens, and Mark was one of the first people to like become a fan and was like, I'm gonna put this kid to work, right? So I was supposed to do a movie for him called Lucky 13 with Stuart Margolin that they actually wrote for me. And I was underage and I went to do a commercial and they panicked and they gave it to Eric Stoltz. That's a whole story into itself.
Wow.
But so the follow-up movie, that he got was a Roger Corman movie called Hard Bodies. And he did a lot of low-budget features, but his requirements were that he could do a rewrite on the scripts, which I think is a good idea. If you're going to do a low budget film, right? Get it the way you want it. And then he also prepared, if he's running behind, he'll tear pages out. He's like, he knows what he has to do to get a B movie done. Right. But so he rewrote that role with me in mind. So as soon as I got back from Children of the Corn, I had to go to Concord Studios, which is like a parking lot down in Venice Beach. It's like the least studio you've ever seen, but it's Roger Corman, right? I mean, lean and mean, right? So I had to go in there in one of the little trailers and audition, but it was mine to like lose at that point, right? I would have had to just like choke, So I got the gig, and one of the first things he told me was like, so I wrote this part, where you gotta flip people off in 40 languages, figure it out. So that gave me like a month, which was like a good heads up. So I just started asking everybody and anybody I knew, like, what are the different, like, how do you flip people off in different ways? Like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, in Italian, it's like this. Oh, okay. So I started writing all these things down, and kind of like a song. I looked at them and put them in an order. I'm like, so if we're here, where do we go from here? Oh, we can go to here, right? Like, and started to choreograph this thing. And then, when I did it, fucking place, it is like, holy shit. Like this, and still get asked this day, right? Can you flip me off in 40 languages? And I'm like, no, I forgot. If you pay me enough, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I remember like when we were younger, like me and my buddies, we would wear that VHS tape out because we would try to slow it down and watch it and learn.
That's awesome.
It was fantastic, man.
That's awesome. The power of movies, man. You can't underestimate like the influence. Like this thing, you would take the time, you and your buddies would take the time to like, we're gonna figure this thing out. This is hilarious. Yep. I love it. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. My great uncle was a tail gunner in World War II. So I've always had a fascination with, history, but, World War II. What was it like working on Memphis Belle as Sergeant Eugene McVeigh?
Well, Memphis Belle, for all the guys, at least all the guys I ever see when I run into them, I think sort of was one of the pinnacles of our career. We've been chasing an amazing experience like that again, because it was just top notch, on every level. You know what I mean? We got to go to the UK, be there for 3 months, hanging out in London. We got to work at famous Pinewood Studios.
Nice.
4 of the people that were in production had Oscars. The producer, the cinematographer, the production designer, and the editor. That's never happened since that I'm aware, anything I've been involved in, that I'm aware that level of. Some of the best people in England, were working on that movie. And then not to mention some of the best young actors of that generation were in the movie too. It was the movie to get that year for a young actor. Like everybody wanted it. And they basically were like, well, we can't afford to have all stars in this thing. So we'll pick our 4 or 5 top guys that we think are moneymakers. We'll pick a mid-level and a lower level. Got me in on the lower level. And I kind of 2 things happened to help me get that job. One was, I was smart enough to like go, okay, if I'm coming in here, what do these guys want? They want some team players. They want some ensemble players, right? I'm working, but I'm not Sean Penn, right? So who wanted in on it too, right? So I was like, okay, they're looking for some team players on my level. So I happen to be part of a really, really good theater company called the Friends and Artists Theater Ensemble in LA. That was like the best, one of the best theater companies in town. And so I walked, and we were doing Bomb and Gilead, which is Lanford Wilson, very tough play. I don't know if you know the play, but the dialogue, it's like all these people like on the street and in this cafe, like in the middle of the night in Needle Park in New York. And there's like conversations going on here, and there's conversations going on here, that you have to time your dialogue against other people's conversations. And when you do it right, there's a conversation in the conversation. If the audience is listening, right, you hit it right. It took months and months to prepare. And we ended up winning Best Ensemble, the Drama Log Awards that year and all that stuff. This guy named Sal Romeo is the director, and he's one of my mentors. I studied with him for a long time. Stella Adler technique and stuff. He's like, our Stanislavski. He's like the man in LA. So when I walked in, he said, "How you doing?" I said, "Ensemble is my forte. I am in one of the best ensemble theater companies in town right now. We're doing Bomb and Gilead, one of the toughest plays you could do." And he was like, the director was like, "Wow, that's really refreshing." He's like, in New York, all they want to know about is like, what's the script? In LA, they want to know what's the part for me. So my audition was all right, but that left a really good impression on him. And then something lucky happened, and that was Patrick Dempsey was a little hotter at that point already. His tape went in for auditioning, and my scene, you shit on my house scene, was in it.
Nice.
Oh wow,
which was great for me. Right?
Yeah.
And he told me there when he cast me, he said that's what iced it. He said seeing you and Patrick Dempsey's tape iced it down.
It worked out for you.
I was like, thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah,
nice.
So so it was just an amazing experience. I mean, just like I said, top notch on every level. That's all I can really say.
Well, it's a great film. I love it.
I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. That's for sure.
Yep,
it is. You mentioned Sean Penn wanting in on it. Now, obviously, he does get in on colors. Can you tell us a little bit about?
In a big way,
yeah. In a big way. How was your experience working on the set of colors?
Interesting. That's what I would have to say to that. So let's see. Where do I begin? So Gerardo Mejia and I worked on 3 movies in a row together. A movie called Winner Take All. Then we worked on Count by Me Love, and then we did Colors, right? Like literally 3 movies in a row. So when we were shooting in Arizona doing Count by Me Love, at this point we got to know each other quite a bit. He started out as a pop locker, from the hood, worked as a dancer and worked his way up. And he knew that I was, I grew up in tough neighborhoods in LA, and he knew that. So when he got the script, he's like, Courtney, you're not gonna believe it, man. There's a white boy in the gang. I'm going up this character Bert. There's a white boy, dude. You got to get in on this. And I knew there were white boys in the gangs, but I didn't think anybody would ever put that in a movie, So I called my manager, Virgil, and it's just Virgil Fry. He actually had a long-standing relationship with Dennis Hopper. He helped him make Easy Rider. That's how far they went back. So he called him and he said, "Hey, I hear you're looking for a guy." And they're like, "Yeah, we're having a lot of trouble finding the guy." He goes, "Look, this is my best actor, best trained dude. You got to see him when he gets back in town." So as soon as I got back in town, I went and took at this point I was taking like general meetings. When you're on a certain level, you don't have to audition anymore. And that's come and gone sometimes. But at that point I was kind of hot, and they were having trouble. So I just came in with a Pendleton on and stuff. And they're like, "So you know this stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I grew up in this stuff, blah, 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 blah." And 10 minutes later, they gave me the job. So that was that. Now getting the job was the easiest part. Dennis Hopper is a genius, man. Like he really is. And like, he was the one who was like, make this about, he lived in a part of Venice Beach that was called Ghost Town. That's a really rough, it's not even there anymore. It was like a really, really rough part of LA. Like don't go there at night kind of stuff. So he knew about the Bloods and the Crips. And he said, make this cop movie about the LA gangs and I'll do it. So that was his genius, that he tapped that whole thing that was going on in LA that the world didn't know about. But it was, everybody knew about the Bloods and Crips in LA. Like that was a real thing. And, but he's kind of crazy. Like, Dennis Hopper's kind of crazy. And when, in a way, Virgil put a target on my back a little bit that, I was his guy. And nobody pushed my buttons more than Dennis Hopper, but nobody got more out of me than Dennis Hopper. Like my character's 86th on the credit sheet. Okay. 86th. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's like, most movies I'm in don't have 86 people, right? Much less the 86th character on the call sheet. It's not the guy in this thing. But I also was very confident about my work at that point. I'd been working steady. He would direct very loose the wides, like, but then if you didn't do what he liked, he'd fucking yell at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would play the moment. Then you're leaving it open. I'm playing. I'm not trying to steal scenes or anything because I'm not into that. I'm an ensemble guy, but I'm playing the moment. But he had the other actors, some of the younger actors, so scared they wouldn't do anything. They would just stay there and try to stay out of trouble. So I always tell this because the first scene we shot was at the power plant. When Gerardo Mejia's scene, mi primero es, numero uno, Holmes, all that, right? So his first day on set, and he has this fucking monologue. That's a tough thing, right?
Geez.
But so Dennis Hopper calls us into the room. We're all there excited to meet Dennis Hopper. I'm gonna have a little fake cigar here, and we're all sitting there all ready to go, all excited to meet Dennis Hopper. And he's like, "This fucking scene means a lot to me, man, because they think I'm making a fucking cop movie, but I'm making a movie about the gangs. You understand?"
Oh,
and I mean, he just fucking everybody's like shitting their pants, right?
Damn.
Right, and then we shoot the scene, and we get to the part where it's Gerardo's monologue, and it's not going well, and it's just and not as it's not going well, but Dennis Hopper's not saying nothing. He's like, "Just do it again, do it again, do it again," and fucking Gerardo starts to fucking crumble a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, first day, Dennis Hopper, it's going, not going, and he's not giving him anything. And he's my bud at this point, right? So he starts looking at me like, "Courtney, what the fuck should I do?" So I walk over him and I start talking. I give him a fucking good. I don't remember what I said, but I've been teaching acting at this point some and been studying for a long time. And Dennis Hopper sees me and he just came by my character's name. He goes, "Whitey, get the fuck away from my actor." And I'm like,
"Oh crap."
I walk away, and then fucking Gerardo nails it. And he's like,
nice.
And he just looks at me like, "What the fuck did you tell him?" Like, he didn't say "good job," or he just looked like, who the fuck you think you are? And from that point on, man, he would fucking throw shit at me. Like, he's right before the scene on the PCP, I'm in the back, and he called me, "Whitey, get the fuck over here." He goes, "Okay, stand right there. The scrim's gonna go off. You're on PCP. Let's go." I'm like, what the fuck, right? Like, no prep, no nothing, right? I had like fucking 10 seconds to ask fucking gangsters and fucking cops, like, "What's PCP like?" And then I just do that moment, and I just happen to fucking flip. I was relaxed, and I just, relax, and he comes out, "Good fucking job, Whitey," and then storms. That's how he was the whole time. It was like, it was crazy.
That's intense.
But I'm telling you, he saw me playing. He went to go to the bathroom one time. He sees me playing my guitar in the trailer. Scene at the end, "Whitey, get your fucking guitar." Nothing got past that dude. You know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, he saw everything. He saw me play guitar once, filed it away, saw a spot for it. I mean, how cool, a fucking cholo playing guitar in a fucking movie. Like, that's just so, like, not what you're supposed to do. And it's so cool. People still to this day try to track me down to where they get that song. I'm like, I didn't write that song. The girl did. It's called Love Guaranteed. I don't know. Ask her. But that just he added an artistic flavor even to cholos, and like, if you look at the movie, he gets every good mural in Los Angeles. He has the car crash into a fake watchtower, one of the most famous art installations in Los Angeles. But man, he's not easy to work for, brother. He's not easy to work. So there's like that Dennis Hopper rant. I thought you'd like that.
I did.
I loved it. Definitely loved the Hopper impersonation. And
great.
That speaks to your craft, though, because you might have been 86 on the call sheet here, but you're one of the more memorable moments from that film, because
it's just, there's not how many white guys are in gangs, right? That's what I wanted to represent, because I knew there was. I always tell people there was a guy I went to grammar school with who was a gangbanger in high school named Billy Red. He was a redheaded gangbanger. I always like, that dude must have flipped out when he saw that movie, because he's like,
"Yeah,
look at Courtney, man, they're still stealing my shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, damn right, I stole your shit."
That's right.
Well, that's what it was. Like, when you're watching it, you're thinking, okay, these are some really badass people, but how badass does this guy have to be to be the one white guy in the group?
I put up a meme.
I'm definitely not messing with him.
My pages, I saw that it was showed like before, like, white dudes in gangbanger movies, and it said like, why is the white guy always got to be just a little bit crazier?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I was glad to represent, because, like I said, I knew that was real stuff, and I knew that Dennis Hopper was going to do the first real movie about that culture, because all the movies I ever saw before that were all crap. And he really did. He really caught, and it broke out West Coast rap. West Coast rap was not a thing before then.
Yep.
And that movie was significant in a lot of ways.
Very influential. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, I want to go back. Because there goes the goddamn brownies. And I want to talk about your experience on the Burbs. What was it like working with Joe Dante? Because I love all of his work. I'm a big fan of his. What was it
Yeah.
like?
So number one, Joe's a nice, really nice guy and encouraging. And number two, he knew what he wanted from me. Like, again, we just took a meeting, and I don't know what I said or why he picked me out of everybody he could pick. I have no idea. We just talked. I gave him, I guess, a little bit of an interpretation, and then he cast me, which was awesome. But he knew a lot of what he wanted. So it was like more than like, say, like hard bodies. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with the wardrobe. The wardrobe woman lived in Hermosa Beach, which is like not like more like a Venice beach, like more, upper class white. She's like, no, this is the way the kids dress. I'm like, I ain't doing that. Like I'm wearing the cutoff OPs and the cutoff hang 10 shirts and like these kind of more like skate rat than surfer guy. And we butted heads, but then the director went my way because he liked what I was doing. And so there are times where I'll butt heads with people about things, but there was nothing to butt heads about with him. He just knew. He's like, okay, go to this person, they're going to make your teeth. And then when they're done, come see me. Go to this person, they're going to cut your hair like this. And go to this person, they're going to make you custom clothes. Here's the swath I picked. Take it to them, and then I come back like after, days where they make the teeth a week later with the teeth on or with the haircut by then. And he'd just start laughing and he'd be like, you're never going to work again. and he'd go like, okay, I want you to come up with this like Norwegian like language, but I don't want it to be any one word. Like, don't do it like it's like, it has to be like undescript, like so they don't know exactly what it is. So I'm like, okay. So I would like go get tapes and kind of learn a couple different things and kind of come up with my own thing. But he was very specific like that he built the character. So by the time I came on the set, as far as physically what I look like and all those things, it already was very much presented. The biggest credit I take for the character is sometimes people, actors, especially like someone like Dustin Hoffman, almost always does. It works with, they call him animal essence. And when you play like Ratso Rizzo, he's a fucking rat, right? Right. If you look, you can see it. You know what I mean? He's like, hey, but an animal essence can really inform your rhythm, your things like that. So I chose with that particular character to be a deer in the headlights because he's a stranger in a strange land, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it's there. You can really see it. You can really see it. It really plays through. That's the the unspoken subtext or whatever of that character. And I think it really informs most of everything that happens to him, or how he reacts to people interacting with them and stuff like that. And it worked. It worked.
It absolutely does, because I'm thinking right now, like how gentle Bonnie is with Hans, and that must have been very hard. He's so skittish. You're right. It's the deer in headlight.
Yeah, and that wasn't something, I don't even think that was written, that I react to that like that or whatever. It was just, that was just where he's coming from. And so working with Joe's great. I've got to work with him a few times, and I'd work with him again anywhere, anytime. If he wants to, he makes a call, I'd be there. I like him a lot. So and the cast, I mean, it was obviously the biggest challenge for me was trying to not know who these people were as the character, because they were all people I was like, grew up with, right? Right. And admired, and I'm certainly a Tom Hanks fan. He's like the greatest. I always feel like, how's it with Tom Hanks? He's the most down to earth A-list actor you're ever going to meet. Period. That's what it is. He's just not buying the hype. You know what I mean? He just loves the work, and he does the work. And that, when you have that guy as the top guy in a show, it keeps everybody else grounded. You know what I mean? You can't like a weenie if he isn't. You know what I mean? So it's like great. But my guy was Bruce Dern. Guys, right? Like I grew, Bruce Dern plays the best son of a bitch you're ever gonna see, right? He's a master of the son of a bitch, right?
Yes.
And so the trash can scene, after the scene when we came out, the first time I see him when I go to the mailbox, after that, he came up to me and he like kind of started taking me under his wing. He's like, he called me Hans. That was good work, Hans. But he really opened up, and it meant the world to me that him recognizing my work and liking where I was going gave me all the confidence in the world that I was onto something, because if Bruce Dern's catching it, it's got to be great. And the coolest thing he said some cool, was so ridiculous, I don't even want to say it. It was so cool, but I'll say this one. So I was talking about, I don't know if I was fully in the moment, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me like, he's like, I'm lucky if I'm in the moment about 20% of the time. And he goes, and he started talking about the woman in Trip the Bountiful, who's like one of the greatest actresses, Geraldine Page.
Geraldine Page.
He goes, I studied with Geraldine Page. I mean, like with students, and she goes, she's the greatest actor. She's maybe in like 50%, 60% of the time. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't have to be like I don't have to judge like I should be 100% great all the time. If these guys can't do it,
right,
I don't have to do it. And it like freed me up so much. And now as an actor who's been at it like 40 years, if I have one good moment in a scene, I'm thankful. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, ooh, found something. You know what I mean? But like in the beginning, I was like, I have to be great all the time, But when Bruce Dern's like, give it a rest, kid, that just gave me, that just made me feel so much better about myself and my work.
Nice.
But I got to work with him again on a movie called Hellblazers that came out a couple years ago, and it was so great to see him again and to be able to actually tell him how much it meant to me when he took me under his wing on the Burbs.
That's
it was
wonderful.
a really, and he's still in the scene. We have some scenes, and he just kicks my ass, man. He's 7 years old, and he's just like, I can't keep up with him. His improv and his observation.
Yeah.
He just kicks my ass.
Yeah.
And I'm just, at the same time, I'm going, look at Bruce Dern kicking my ass. This is
amazing. This is great. Yeah.
I don't normally get my ass kicked. You know what I mean? I just don't. And if I always tell people, like, if fucking acting was boxing, you don't want to get in the ring with me. I would not want to get in the ring with him. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
He whooped my ass.
I have to imagine that being on set on a film like this has got a lot of fun times. I mean, aside, and I'm talking about like just people's good nature. Like, you're working with Rick Dukeman, you got Tom Hanks, you got Corey Feldman. There's got to be a lot of laughter on the set, right?
Well, it was kind of, I don't say camps, but it kind of was. It was kind of like, because Dukeman and Hanks and they were kind of their own little group, right? They were the actual, so they were doing a lot of scenes together, hanging with themselves. Corey hung out by himself a lot. He really hang out with, and I hung out with Brother Theodore a lot, is what I did.
Oh, yes.
And which was, Larry Brezhnev was the one of the producers, who was also a big time manager for comedic actors like Robin Williams and like that. He's the one who he was a big Brother Theodore fan, from his stage show in New York that he did for years called the Brother Theodore Review. And he's like, I don't know if you're gonna get along with this guy. He's like, so if you have any problems, you let me know. He's not that guy he comes off like. That's his act. He's this actually very intelligent guy who came from some sort of level of royalty from wherever he came, Romania or whatever. So he's very cultured, and he used that character as a platform to talk about his political angst issues. It's very brilliant, really. And like the guy, so this is how he was. We'd play chess, and he would spot you a queen. You're like, I don't need to do that. And then he'd whip your ass every time. Like he'd be like, okay, I guess I do. He'd spot me the queen because I can't even beat you without a queen. But he would just tell these wonderful stories and stuff. And I think the thing that worked for him on film, because he hadn't done film, at that point he was getting a little bit older. He was getting a little hard of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everything he said's loud. Which actually worked perfect for the character. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was one of those things I filed away. Like one day I'm gonna do a character that I'm gonna make that choice that, especially as I get older, right? That you can't hear. So everything's like, let me tell you something, sonny.
Nice.
Huh? Why speak of that?
Dave, I know we have talked about this over the years multiple times, but the idea of seeing the Hans character, come back in a follow-up where he's like the head of the household now.
Okay, I got the craziest idea. All right, here's my idea.
Let's hear it.
Yes.
So Hans gets out of prison, and now he's on his own. And so he moves, instead of being the suburbs of White, he moves into a black suburbs, and it's called the Burbs.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my Lord.
But it's like all the same shit, right? It's
like
all this, like they're all going, "Who's this dude?" Like in the camera, this freak. It's all the same stuff, but it's just black folk.
Oh my gosh.
That would be great.
I think you could at least do a short of that.
Yeah.
And it would be, for those who are Burbs fans, it would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like a sort of a black parody of the Bruce Dern character or the Rick Dukeman
Oh my
character?
Lord. we recently talked with Oz Rodriguez, and he, had a great stint on Funny or Die. This sounds like what you're suggesting sounds like a great skit for Funny or Die. Like, I gotta hit him up and say, hey, listen, I was talking to Courtney.
Reach out to Courtney.
I would do it. Yeah. I think it'd be the most. Funny or Die is awesome. I think it'd be the most hilarious. I think that would be hilarious. Now, I don't know. I don't know how other people would think. Nowadays, everybody's so sensitive, right? I don't know.
True.
But I think it would take if you could get an actor, a big enough actor to play the Hanks character, like who's like that guy, and that's sort of that safe, black comedy guy, right? That would play that role. Then I think everybody will roll with it. Then if you could get that guy, whoever that would be. Be like, love it. No, I don't know. I don't want to get involved, guys.
Who's that skeptic?
That would, because that would be hilarious if you had the right people, you had the right guys doing it. It would be insanely funny. Actually,
I think it would be. So, at this point, is there a filmmaker, be it a writer or a director, that you haven't worked with that you would enjoy collaborating with?
That's an easy one. Yeah, Tarantino, of course.
Nice.
That's
good choice. Very good choice.
You know how long I've heard like you should do a Tarantino movie. You'd be great at a Tarantino movie. But I mean, yeah, right. And he's aware of me. Obviously, that guy's a film like encyclopedia. I went to some, and I knew one of his producer Lawrence Bender before he got huge, and I kept going like, "Come on, Lawrence! Like, where's the love, bro? You're big now, like throw the dog a bone, man." So hopefully one day because he's not gonna, he doesn't do a lot of movies.
No,
I always say when you think about it, like I've been like in 100 things, you can maybe name 7. He's only done 8 movies, 9 movies, you can name every one, right? It's everyone's good. But yeah, I think that would be. I just think he chances are he would stretch me in an interesting and warped ass direction. So, I would like to do something with him.
Nice.
Well, one more question about the movies, and I know, I'm sure some of the listeners are like, well, they weren't going to ask, and we specifically wanted to try and stay away from Children of the Corn because we know someone in your position, you've heard a billion questions a billion times, but just for our listeners, my question about Children of the Corn would be, after 40 years, did you ever expect that a character like Malachi would have such a pop culture impact?
I wouldn't have expected from the year it came out. Yeah, it's been one of those things that from the jump has just been crazy. Even though culturally at that time, horror movies were looked down as B movies, critics panned it, but that was what they were saying on the streets. Kids were running to their mothers crying. I mean, it was like, what is happening? It was really, really overwhelming, the impact it had, and all of a sudden all these eyeballs on me and the reactions those eyeballs were having. I was like, whoa. And that was when two things, one was I realized the power of cinema at that point. Like I really realized like, wow, the power of cinema. Like think about the project you're doing, what you want to do. And the other thing was like, I realized that character had such an impact so fast that I could easily get pigeonholed. I was like, I was aware of that. So I really made a conscious choice in my 80s run to not play the same character twice.
You never did.
I know it worked out. I mean, I made the conscious choice. And I was actually able to pull it off. And what I was eyeing at that point was, a long-term career beyond a childhood actor, right? I was looking at the long-term prize, and I said, if I can have a body of work, over like a 10-year period or like that, or in the 80s run was like 5-6 really good year run, that's what's going to help me transition to my adulthood work, because they're going to be saying, well, shit, he can do this and he can do this and he can do this and he can do this. And I ended up being lucky that I had, a hit in almost every genre, in that run. And they were all very different characters. So I really feel like I had proven my point, as it were, that I was a character actor to be reckoned with, that I had some skills, that I could do comedy, that I could do drama, that I could do horror, And I think that did help me. I think that did help me transition. And then I think, the other thing that long-term transitions was just looking at being realistic about who you are and what you can do and what you look like, what age you are and what you look like, like what's the market. In the 90s, I made a pretty conscious decision when I just started getting a lot of guest stars. I said there was no 20 something roles, but I couldn't play teenagers anymore. But I 30 was the roles, 30, 35. So I was just like, what can I do? I said, well, grow the hair back out, grow goatee, play Mad Dogs. You can play that and pull it off even as a little bit older. And then I just went on a big run in the 90s doing a lot of really good guest stars and ended up being some incredible roles. I mean,
oh yeah, you do.
Role in Diagnosis Murder is like insane. I mean, character's paralyzed on one side, has cerebral palsy on the other side. And this was before the internet where I couldn't just go look out somebody has cerebral palsy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So I mean, where you had like a very short time to pull this character together and make it happen. So there was some wonderful challenges on that level. And then now, like, you're talking about the beard. Like, I knew after the pandemic, I'm like, grow the beard. The Proud Boy type roles are going to come. There's no doubt those roles are coming.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, you got one.
Yes, Wrath of Becky.
Yeah, Wrath of Becky, where you,
right.
I mean,
we play this character named Nobleman, which is obviously a takeoff on the Nobleman of the Proud Boys, and the movie, it's somewhat tongue in cheek in that, like, it's designed for people to want to see those guys be destroyed and have a good time doing it, right? Yes. I understand that. And that's its function, and people have a good time. But my job is not that. My job is to bring as a human being to that character as I can. And the character has this incredible turn, right? Have you seen the movie?
Yeah. I kind of caught it, because I had seen Becky, and then we see like, oh, we got a sequel, Wrath of Becky, and then you show up, and it's like, whoa, Courtney Gains is in this, and then immediately I'm like, I'm pulling in more now. It's like, okay, well, I love Courtney Gains, but I'm probably not supposed to love him in this movie.
Right.
But I'm still all in.
Yeah, but the point is, my job is to try to make that guy, four-dimensional, three-dimensional, four-dimensional, and because he has such a good turn, it really allows me to do that. But then again, at the end is such a ridiculous payoff. It's like, what's your kid's name? I don't want to say it, but it's like the payoff is ridiculous. After he gives this heartfelt speech, you're like, yeah, kill that motherfucker. So I love the opportunity, and I think the movie came out really good. It's one of the better things I've been in a while, and they're already doing another one. It's done well. They're doing a trilogy now.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna be part of this pretty crazy trilogy that I think is just a sign of our times. Since we're talking about stuff that was done lately, might as well pivot to the other cool thing I did last year was I got hired by Rockstar to do a video game, and they wouldn't tell me what it was because they'd keep things really secret.
Yeah. Okay.
People are like, it might be GTA. I'm like, no, really? They're like, it might be. We don't know. So it turned out to be, it's called, Grand Theft Auto Los Santos Drug Wars, their online game.
Yep.
Okay.
And it ended up being 2 parts. None of these things they told me. So the first part came out in December. The second part came out, I think, in February, March. But I play this character named Lab Rat, who's the guy who makes all the acid and stuff for them. And the reason I'm telling you all this, other than you can go look at the uncut scenes online, they're really funny, is the reason I'm telling you this because that's my ode to Dennis Hopper right there.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
If you watch it and you kind of know, I'm not fully imitating him, but to me, that's who I thought about when I got this role. I said, "Oh, this is my Dennis Hopper moment right here."
Yeah.
That's it's a really fun character, and it really came out. I didn't even know what the guy looked like. They didn't tell me nothing, but it was a really lot of fun. They put you in those bubble suits, but nowadays they've evolved to now where they have these helmets with the cameras right here, so you're capturing your face images. When I worked for those guys back in the day for LA Noire, they had to do those 2 things separately, and it was really difficult and arduous. They've come a long way, so it was much more freed up to really go. It was great. They would just throw things at you, like, you do this, you do that. You just had to just dive in and be loose and have a good time, and it was a fun challenge, and it was a fun character, and it was a fun process. So really, last year, 2 really good projects that came out. So I'm really happy with the stuff that's come out this year.
Yeah, you should be.
Well, as we wrap up, Courtney, you mentioned getting some touring dates together for next year. We talked about some of the conventions. Are you currently writing any new music?
Yes, I have been writing some new music, but it's really more about getting the next phases tracked, right? So like the cool thing about the two cool things. One is I'm an independent musician, right? So I can do whatever the hell I want. Nobody's like, you wrote that hit, make me 10 more of those and we'll give you $1 million, like it's a whole different game, right? If somebody did, maybe I'd play that game, but that's not what I'm doing, right? So I like kind of like acting. I write all kinds of stuff. I don't write like in one thing. Like if you think like Acoustic Gains versus this record, Safe Haven, they're pretty different, right?
They are.
Yeah. So the next couple things I want to do are, and what's cool is nowadays you don't have to do a full album. You can either do singles if you want, or now you can do like EPs, and people are kind of more open to that concept. Because a lot of material I have is like, there's like 6 good songs or 5 good songs in that genre. So the next 2 things I want to do is 2 instrumental projects. One is an instrumental project that is, more, full on instruments, electric stuff. Some stuff I've been sitting on for a while. And that's what I'm thinking I'm working on next. But I also have one more that I really want to do. And it's technically the most challenging for me. It's a 5-6 song acoustic instrumental. And I've had that for a long time. I've had this set of songs for a long time. When I was I was married back in the 90s. My wife was a choreographer, and we actually did that performance live where I played these 5 songs and she choreographed to all of them. That was super cool, man, to see your music interpreted in dance. I'm sure we have it somewhere. It's been filmed. But I want to also track all those songs. It's just sometimes I feel like my skill set isn't up to nailing them. They're instrumental, and it's like, it's tough. But I'm going to do it. It's like, I got to do it. So those are like the 2 next things that are on my mind. But this guy, Wall Petrie, that we're working with now, he's very good songwriter himself, and very good. Like he has studio skills. And so I think he and I are going to do some co-writing stuff as well. And I've done a lot of co-writing, and I'm all for it, because I think that it takes you in different directions. Somebody else's skills are like, if I write music with a female voice, that takes you in a different direction. So I like, and either you can or you can't. Like in Ripple Street, I wrote with my bass player, and a bass player writing songs is very different. Like it's like, I just like guitar players, we've done a ton of dialogue, chord and like 4,000 words, Dylan. But this with bass riffs, you had to like make everything simple. So it kind of forced me to write differently. So I'm going to do some writing with him as well. So I think those are things definitely in the works soon. We're going to start working on tracking some stuff. But I've been really concentrating on getting this record out. That's been like the real push for the last I don't know, a month and a half or so. And it's gone really well. And we've gotten some really good write-ups, gotten some really nice reviews, which really surprised the hell out of me. I feel like people, and like you guys, took the time to listen to it and got something out of it. So I'm really, I couldn't be happier. That's all I can ask for is take a listen, right? Go, oh, that dude, he writes music. Let's see if it's any good, And if having like one song, I'm over the moon. So,
well, I can't wait to hear what you come out later with. I cannot wait.
Well, some of this other stuff that could be soundtrack stuff, the stuff I'm going to write next. So you never know. Maybe we're going to give you some soundtrack material, man.
You never know. That's
we
right.
would love that.
Gosh, I would be beside myself with that, Courtney.
We got so many projects to do already. It's crazy.
So Fake Fangs Records, they're shipping out the CDs now. You were very kind enough for the lucky ones, myself included, that pre-ordered. We get an autographed copy, correct?
Yes. Nice. So we did. We decided he came up with a good idea, which was to do a pre-order, and for that pre-order, people would get personally signed CDs. Now it worked well. We sold a bunch of CDs, and that's great. I love it. So, and then of course, doing conventions, that's the only other way people would be able to get them. But just to be clear, the only way to get this record is to go to fakefangs.com. It's not on Spotify. It's not on iTunes. Been there, done all that. They ain't done nothing for me. So we're going direct this time, and you got to go to fakefangs.com, and you can listen to the record 3 times. And if you like it, you can either just download the downloadable for $7, or you can get a CD, limited run CDs. We got 500 for $8, and get a CD. So and I think you get the digi download with that. So that's a pretty good deal. So
yep. That's the one I got. I got the digi download. I got the autographed one on the way.
Well, we just got CD. I know you haven't gotten the CDs yet. They took a while to get ordered. We finally signed them, and they're getting shipped now. But I'll tell you, they came out nice. They that was all him. Give Jim and his designer all the credit. But it wasn't until I had it in my hands I could open it that I was like, this looks cool.
Awesome.
So I think I hope you'll enjoy it.
Yep.
Well, Courtney, as far as information on you, like your tour dates, your appearances, is there a specific, is there a website we can go to find out more about you and where you're going to be?
Mainly, it's just by Facebook. You can find me on, you can find me, Courtney Gains, on Facebook, and I don't have any. And you can find me on Instagram. I don't have any official stuff, but you'll know it's me because who could be posting the pictures I'm posting, right?
Right.
But then for the band, there's also Courtney Gains group, and that's where all the information will be on touring stuff as it unfolds in this next year. So
nice.
And that's maybe eventually we'll get a website together. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
We have been listening to Safe Haven, and we've been talking with Courtney Gains. Courtney, it has been a tremendous pleasure having this conversation with you. We cannot thank you enough. This has been a blast, man. You have
absolute
no idea.
Absolute honor.
It's been fun though. It's been fun too. I mean, thank you for what you're saying, but I feel like we're dudes now. Like we got to get together and have a beer now. So
that's right.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that.
Absolutely. When listeners, we'll catch you next time.